one and all. Welcome to Slapendipity, Hobos of Slappy Town. I am Eric, who you may call Eric, and with me is Devon, who you may call Gibby.
I forget what I was gonna say.
That's okay. We have infinite time.
It is okay to forget things sometimes.
It is, yeah.
That reminds me of something I wanted to say.
Well, okay then.
This was a bit the whole time. I'm segueing into a topic. Okay, so...
I thought you genuinely forgot something, and then it reminded you of a new thing.
So, have you ever had problems with insomnia?
No.
Have you ever had problems wee-snawing at night, counting your Z's? Ha-chew, wee-snaw. And other such noises that indicate sleeping?
Me.
Me.
So, yeah, no. I mean, I have been, too excited to fall asleep, or, for whatever random reason, I'm just not going to bed, and I don't know why. And, maybe it's too hot, so then I make it colder, or maybe I have to go to the bathroom, so then I do that. But it's very rarely for, an unknown reason.
I have struggled with insomnia my entire life. I just can't sleep. My brain just goes chugging along. And I could be so exhausted. My body could be dead. I could be flopping on the floor like a fish. But my brain just doesn't stop until I don't fall asleep. And I'll look at the clock and be like, okay, it's 2 a.m. If I fall asleep now, things are still good. And then I don't, and then I look at the clock and I'm like, oh my god, it's 3:30. I need to sleep. So, even though you haven't experienced this, I know lots of other people have. And so, I've recently come to a conclusion theory.
Alright.
So, one of the things I'm sure that is universal, and as I say this, I realize I'm probably wrong. So, instead of just stating this, I'm going to ask you another leading question. Have you ever daydreamed?
Yeah. Not, unconsciously.
No,
I'm actively daydreaming.
Yeah, that's why
yeah,
it's
yeah,
daydream.
Yeah.
You think of scenarios in your head. It could be anything from I'm going to imagine buying pizza later, or it could be I am Superman, I am flying.
Yeah. As a kid, it's pretending to be Spider-Man, slinging through a city, or being in a car and grinding on the guardrails on a skateboard. Or when you're an adult, it's replaying that conversation that you totally could have won if you just had 10 more minutes to actually think about it and you weren't rushed.
Exactly. 100% that one. Also, for me, I'm thinking about Japan a lot. So in my head, I already have this is what the hotel room's gonna look like. This is what the street's gonna smell like.
That's dangerous.
And then I have and this is what the plane's going to be like, and that's why I have panic attacks and anxiety about the 18-hour flight. Anyway, let's ignore that for now. Apparently, it's a pretty common thing, and I say this because one of our friends recently sent me a meme, and by meme I mean a Twitter post, where someone was saying this, and I'm like, well, if the Twitter poster said this, and if my friend said this, then it must be pretty common. Which is, you're having one of those daydreams about reliving a conversation you had that you could have won if you had a little more time. Or you're thinking about oh, I'm going to go into work tomorrow and I'm going to say this. I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. And you're just having the daydream for half an hour. And then you're now that I've played through the daydream in a moment by moment progression, I'm going to start the daydream over a second draft. And have something go slightly different so I can come to a new outcome with the things I've learned from going through the daydream the first time.
Okay.
So I guess I'm asking you if that's something that you've experienced, because a lot of other people have.
Yeah, you do some drafts of the, okay, this is the conversation, this is what I'm going to say, this is what they're going to say, and then ba. And then you go, what if they don't respond the way I thought they would the first time I said the thing? What if they respond with this? Okay, so I'm going to say this, and then instead they'll say that. So then I'll need to say this, and then you that can happen infinitely.
Yes, in my daydreams where I relive arguments or pre-have them, I have the same powers as Max in Life is Strange. That's how that works. Same concept. You agree?
I mean, do I have to hand you over to the government now? Are we
No,
time
it's like you can
powers?
just you're like, okay, I'm gonna unsay what I just said and say something else and see where that conversation goes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. Okay, so the thing about insomnia is imagine that you have
Okay.
8 hours to have these
Uh.
daydreams
Mm-hmm.
because you're doing literally nothing else. In fact, even if you wanted to, you could not go and do something else. And so they just happen to you, and you can't stop them. And so that's what it's like lying in bed trying to sleep, but then the daydreams just happen. And you're just thinking too many thoughts, and they just keep going. And I could have like a conversation. I could imagine like the first 4 days of our Japan vacation, and then just start over.
Mm.
And then that just goes all night for hours. And I almost feel like I need to get to the end of the story in my head so that it comes full circle. You know, when you have a dream and then you like wake up from the dream and you barely remember it?
Yeah.
You're like, I know I had a dream. There's like a dog chasing me or something, but I don't remember. So in my mind, it's like if I don't conclude the daydream, then like it doesn't get solidified as a thing that happened. So this is the struggle of insomnia. Of my brain is just going all these different places.
And you couldn't, like, read a book to stop the daydreaming. But because now you're focusing on reading, it would just keep happening as you're trying to read, and then you could do neither.
Yeah, if you like this only happens when you're too tired to do something else. There have been times when I'm like, well, if I'm not going to sleep, I guess I'll go play a video game. Or if I'm not going to sleep, I'll turn on the TV. But then I'm just too tired to do that.
Mm.
So the conclusion that I came to, because a few nights ago I had an insomniac night where I just literally could not sleep. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I am simply going to stop. I'm going to not continue any of the 3 parallel daydreams I'm having right now. And I'm just
Okay.
going to stare at the ceiling and do nothing and think nothing. I'm simply going to stop thinking.
How'd that go?
It worked.
Okay. That's good.
So it's kind of like, you know, when I'm having insomnia, it's almost like I'm thinking big thoughts right now. And I don't want to stop and like go to sleep because what if I don't remember them? You know, I have this big argument coming up tomorrow, and if I don't spend this time practicing the argument, what if I lose it? What if I don't remember the smart thing I said? What if I go down a bad path in my daydream, and thus I know to avoid that path in the real life, right? But I've decided to simply stop. And then I fell asleep.
All right. I mean, that sounds good.
Yes, this would have been a much more impactful conversation if you had experienced this. I have a feeling that people at home are going to be like, "OMG, that makes sense," or people are going to be like, "What? No, it doesn't work that way. You can't just stop." And this is me. I'm looking in you right in the ear. My mouth movements are going right in your ear, and I'm saying, "Yes, they probably can." Also, don't drink caffeine before bed.
I am. Caffeine stays in your system for 6 hours, supposedly.
Yeah, and I had like 3 Coke Zeros that night.
Oh.
I was tired because we went to the mall. It was a whole thing.
You did seem a little dead.
No. It was that night.
Right. No, you
Yeah.
seemed a little dead before it, even.
Oh, when we were playing board games for like 4 hours?
No. Before that.
Yeah, and then I had the caffeine, and then we went to the mall. There's a whole story, guys. There's a lot of background here.
Sure.
Happy slappy times. We were gonna play games. We go to the mall. We go to the mall. We get some pretzels. We leave. We play a board game. Eric leaves my house. I go to sleep. I can't sleep, and
Because
now
you
I'm
had
here
Coke Zero.
Because I had like 3 Coke Zeros over the course of the 7 hours that we were playing that board game.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. It was Slay the Spire, the board game. I enjoyed it.
It was a good board game.
Yeah, I have
Lots
another
of
thing
fun.
to say. Another thing to say about Coke Zero.
Okay.
I do enjoy Coke Zero. I don't like Diet Coke, but I like Coke Zero.
Okay.
I was talking to my mother. See, I've recently decided to start drinking Coke Zero,
Okay.
and she's like, "That's bad for you." I'm like, "Probably." And she's like, "Why can't you just drink other things?" And I'm
Sure.
like, "Well, because, I like Coke Zero, blah, 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 it's tangy and whatever." And I start trying to describe the flavor of Coke Zero to her. And I find
Okay.
myself describing it in terms of shapes.
Mm.
Like, it is pointy. Like, Coke Zero is like a pointy pyramid triangle. And it's very orangey. And so it's kind of like I don't really get that flavor from, other things. Like, if I just put, like, oh, I'm going to make I do love seltzer water. But like, oh, I'll put some flavor in seltzer water. I'm like, no, but like, I like the pointiness of Coke Zero. And then
So when I'm
in the middle of the conversation, I was like, this, fam, I think I just have synesthesia.
yeah, that's what it sounds like. Another instance of that.
I'm like, she's not understanding. Coke Zero tastes like pointy.
Well, not even Coke Zero. The taste of Coke Zero feels pointy to you.
The taste of Coke Zero is okay, so there's 3-sided pyramids and 4-sided pyramids, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So it tastes like an orange 4-sided pyramid.
Sure.
In my mouth.
Sure.
So when this happened, I'm like, I haven't like quote unquote come out to like everyone in my life to like explain this, just because it's complicated and stupid, and like also just really legitimately doesn't matter. So I'm having this conversation, and I'm like, if I just keep having this conversation, it's gonna go nowhere, because I would have to like pause and explain what I'm talking about. The Breaking Bad meme, the Jesse, what are you talking about meme. So I'm like, I'll just finish this conversation with Eric on the show.
Lols. What? So you were like, Mom, you don't get it. It tastes pointy, and she went, and what about it? Why can't you drink a round thing?
Well, no, she was basically just like, well, there's bad chemicals in it, and I'm like, you're drinking wine right now, okay? There's alcohol. That's bad.
Listen, I'm not a doctor. I'm no medical expert. Everyone should be responsible with what they do. I think wine is healthier than soda.
I mean, it depends on the soda, but like the chemical that people don't like in diet soda is aspartame. There's some like European countries, I think, that have banned it, but I don't know. This is a big question. Anyway. I can't get that pointy experience from anything besides Coke Zero.
What about normal Coke?
Normal Coke is fine. I'm not a big fan.
But no. But do you get the pointiness, or is it like specifically?
Just Coke Zero gets me the pointiness.
It's probably because it's missing the flavor, so your brain is like, let me substitute flavor with point.
No, it has all the flavor. I vastly prefer the taste of Coke Zero to regular Coke or Diet Coke.
Anyway.
Yes. Anyway, that's my just forget things when you're trying to go to sleep. It's fine. And my Coke Zero takes.
Okay.
I'm crossing those off my list.
Okay. I'm sorry I can't contribute as much to them.
Okay, well, maybe other people can contribute to these. If you can always leave an email at slapendipity@gmail.com. We have many emails to go over later. But first, I think it's time for Eric to bring up a topic.
You want me to bring up a topic?
Bring up a topic.
Well, how do you feel about James Gunn?
I have many conflicting feelings about James Gunn, the movie man. I have a feeling we're going to talk about one of the opinions I expressed in a recent tweet, and that's why you're bringing this up.
It's not actually.
Oh, okay. The thing I tweeted recently is that I think that James Gunn is ruining DC again by not starting with origin stories. James Gunn is an interesting fellow. I don't like his film sensibilities. He's very into like gore and violence and horror stuff that I just don't click with. However, I very much love Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, phenomenal films. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, almost as good. Scooby-Doo, masterpiece. I love the story behind the development of Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo 2, nowhere near as good. Don't like that movie at all. Even as a kid, I thought it was trash. And that's my James Gunn take. He's a little too edgy for me.
He's a little too edgy for you.
A little too edgy for me. Made a good Scooby-Doo movie, Guardians 1 and 2, and the holiday special. I like the holiday special.
Did he do the live action Scooby-Doos?
Yeah, he did the 2 live action Scooby-Doos.
Huh. I did not notice.
Yeah, the interesting story is that the first one was originally going to be rated R. It was going to be like an edgy, like making fun of Scooby-Doo thing, and then they edited it down to PG, which is why I think it's a good movie, because it was like made for adults, and then the bad jokes were taken out, and so the movie is still like competently, paced, and like the plot is good. I really like that movie. I like the ending a lot. It's a good movie. I like the movie. Good movie. Scooby-Doo-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
All right, why are you bringing up Mr. Ruining DC?
Well, first of all, the movie hasn't even come out, so I would not pass such harsh judgment yet.
He made The Suicide Squad, which is somehow worse than the original Suicide Squad. Garbage movie, 0 out of 10, and I hate it. And then I also don't like what I've seen from Peacemaker.
I haven't watched Peacemaker yet, so no comment. I don't know what this second Suicide Squad is. Oh, do you mean the Birds of Prey?
No, The Suicide Squad. The one with Idris Elba.
Oh, I just didn't see that one.
They fight Starro.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Trash movie. Literally, like, one of the worst things I've ever had the displeasure of sitting through.
Well, I watched Creature Commando.
Yes, I haven't watched that, but from what I've seen, I also do not believe I would enjoy it.
It's rated M, so,
yes.
Watch responsibly. Yeah. But it's only 7 episodes, each episode like 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was great. There was a lot of compelling characters, a lot of twists. And I was like, yes, this was a good show. Thumbs up. So, you should watch that. I'd be curious for your take on that. I want you to watch it and like it, and then be even more conflicted.
I don't want to judge a show by its clips I've seen online, but
sure. The
criticisms I've seen is that James Gunn's movies all have what I'm going to call the Groot character.
Okay.
So in the Suicide Squad, it was the shark character, and apparently the show has the Groot character.
Which is like someone that just doesn't speak. Or like able to communicate with the rest of the team.
It's more of a like very big, very strong and muscular, but has like the innocence of a child and like a kind of simplistic mind. Is there a character like that in the show?
There's no one. I mean, there's innocence a bit, but I wouldn't describe them as like strong.
Okay.
Or like a big hulking brute that is also a simple-minded or innocent or whatever.
Either way, the main thing I saw that really turned me off from the show is a scene where there's a character who like is like really hot or radioactive or something, like burning, his skin can burn, and he like walks into a tank and he flips off these 2 guys, and then his like hands melt through their faces and he just keeps walking through it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to like the show at all, because that's like, it's not just that that's dumb. It is dumb, but like that kind of stuff is also in the show Invincible, and I do like Invincible. I just wish, I wish it had fewer of those stupid parts. But I don't need to suspend my disbelief that Invincible is part of a larger universe. My issue with jokes like that is that that show, Creature Commandos, is canon to the Superman movie that's about to come out. Meaning that that tone is in the same universe and continuity as the Superman movie, which is going to be like lighthearted and adventure and like all about positivity. And for me to be like, oh, so there's the good movie, Superman, and then there's the stupid, dumb, idiot, lowbrow, dumb, stupid, Shaggy in the background smoking a bong because haha, isn't that funny in my superhero DC show. Those are in the same continuity. And I'm just like, I hate it. Like, I literally think the universe would be better if the show didn't exist, even if it's a good show. It's just tonally clashes.
So wild to me. I guess, sure, it's all the same universe, but they're also their own projects and stuff. And just because the show has one tone and the other, and this movie is gonna have a different tone, doesn't mean they can't exist in the same universe.
I think writing-wise, they shouldn't exist in the same universe.
But it doesn't matter if they do or don't.
I disagree. I think it brings down the quality of the entire cinematic universe.
But I don't know, that just feels like nitpicky to me, of just like, well, they never bring it up and they never cross paths in any way whatsoever, but they exist in the same canon, so...
Yeah, I thought Batman was in the show.
No.
I think he is.
He is mentioned in the show, and you see him for one shot.
Yes, that.
Not even a scene.
Yeah.
But they literally cut to him and cut away.
Okay, so here's something similar.
For 2 seconds.
Here's something similar. Okay. So I'm going to have to kind of explain this using a different example. Okay, Star Trek. You know Star Trek.
Okay. Yeah,
You're
vaguely.
aware of Star Trek.
I've never watched it, but it is popular enough for me to know about it.
So I like Star Trek.
Okay.
And the original show comes out in the 60s. It's made by Gene Roddenberry. Then in the 80s, they make The Next Generation. Gene Roddenberry comes back, comes up with some concepts for that. Cool, great, love it. And then since then, there's been a lot of spin-offs. There was Enterprise and Deep Space Nine and other ones. So a few years ago, mid-early 2010s, they come out with Star Trek Discovery, which is a prequel to the original Star Trek.
Bold.
And it's on the streaming, it's Paramount Plus, one of the streaming services. So this show is rated R.
Okay.
Now, Star Trek is a depiction of an idealized future universe, and it's really... I put Star Trek in the same category as, like, these other interesting, like, almost anthology shows, like The Twilight Zone, because Star Trek is like, okay, the show starts, they're on the ship, they come to a planet, a thing happens on the planet. It could be anything from, like, this planet read our thoughts and it put us in Alice in Wonderland, and we met Sherlock Holmes. Or it could be, like, there's a war going on and we need to stop the nukes from falling, right? Like, they can just do literally anything because space and technology.
Mm-hmm.
It just has the consistent characters of, like, Kirk and Spock and McCoy, etc. So in Star Trek Discovery, it's rated R, and so you have characters who start using some strong language. Mm-hmm. They say the F word. And they don't just say the F word. There's a scene early on where two characters are, like, walking through the, like, cafeteria, and one of them is just like, you know, it's really fun to say the word, and then they say the F word. And it's kind of like introducing the audience to the concept that, like, this show, yes, it is Star Trek, and yes, the F word have never been used in Star Trek before, but this show is going to use it.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, no. And I had a conversation with my brother about it, and we were both like, it's not that we think it's, like, morally wrong for them to curse in Star Trek. It's not that we're upset that they're introducing a rated R, show into the continuity. It's that, like, in the fictional universe of Star Trek, it's almost like the concept of strong language like that didn't exist. Mm. The whole universe up until this point, nobody has ever said the F word. And now you're sort of breaking that rule.
Mm.
And so when the MCU did the exact same thing, when the MCU went with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, a James Gunn movie, the first time the F word was ever used in the MCU was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They use it as a one-off silly little joke. It was a funny scene. Funny joke. But the point is that in every other Marvel movie before that, they had never said it. They, in fact, had multiple jokes about not being able to say it.
Lols.
But now suddenly they do. And I'm just like, well, that retroactively ruins those jokes and those lines. If you're allowed to just say it, then why? Then, like, if the word, exists in the universe, if we're not just using our suspension of disbelief to be like, this is a PG-13 movie, so they're not really going to say it, then, like, what's the point? Like you just expanded the scope of the universe in a way that you can't take back, and I dislike. Now, you could argue that they were technically using the F word in the Luke Cage show, which was canon and then wasn't. So, like, okay, that did it first, but also it wasn't canon, but then it was, and whatever. And then, obviously, Deadpool used it. But Deadpool is literally set in a different universe, even though it's MCU canon, and so that's fine. In my opinion. Anyway, when it happened in Guardians of the Galaxy, I was legitimately upset. Because I'm like, that kind of ruins my experience with the Spider-Man movies where they, like, use creativity to censor the word. In a recent Star Wars show, the writers really, really, really wanted to use the F word. And they wanted to say, F the Empire. And it would have been a very powerful moment. And having rewatched the scene, knowing that was the original line, I'm like, this show, it's in the show Andor, I'm like, this show is already perfect, and I do think that would have made it better. But just like Star Trek, the F word does not exist in Star Wars. Because it's a PG-13 franchise. It has never been used before. And so to introduce it once and then never use it again would just be like, okay, well then, if you can say F the Empire in Andor, why didn't someone say F you Darth Vader to his face when he just slashed all his friends in half? Like, it makes those scenes worse if this was an option. Because now we're seeing censored versions of these events, as opposed to the F word just doesn't exist in this universe.
I mean, I have a few thoughts.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
One, for the most recent point, it could be characters, types, right? Like, oh, Darth Vader killed all your friends in front of you, and you don't say, fuck you, Darth Vader. You, like, that could be a comment on the character of this person who is, like, so moral that he's, like, not saying that.
Random and rebel soldier number 7.
Yeah, he's so moral.
No.
And I mean, to me, the Star Trek all makes more sense because, like, it's been running for so long, you are kind of breaking established things in that way. On the one hand, I'm like, it's been out for, gosh, what, 60 years?
Yeah.
More, maybe. It's like, things change, time, like, I shrug. I don't... One of the things I'm curious about that is if they were like, we want to make our own sci-fi Explorer of the Week show, and they went, no. And they go, what if we call it Star Trek, though? And then they got greenlit. Because, no one's going to watch anything unless it's associated with a brand.
Well, like, that's what the Orville was. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's...
I have heard of it.
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane wanted to make Star Trek. They said no, so he made his own Star Trek with blackjack and hookers. But, like, literally, because it's, like, a very edgy Star Trek.
Well, it's not very edgy. It's still wholesome.
Yeah.
I only watched, like, 3 episodes. I can be totally wrong. I think the other thing is... to, like, I don't know, I get your point on, like, in Spider-Man, they work around cursing, and then in Guardians, they just curse, and then it, like, detracts from it a bit, and whatever. But also, like, if you're watching a movie, you're watching Spider-Man, and you're watching the scene where they're, like, navigating around cursing, and you think, wow, this is silly, because they already cursed in a different movie that I'm therefore not paying attention to this movie anymore.
Yes, I do.
I think that's silly. Like, you should just watch the movie for the movie.
They want us to understand that these movies are taking place in the same universe. It has to have the same rules.
But I'm not. But it's the same universe. But that's not. Like, I can curse on this podcast and you don't. That doesn't mean we don't exist in the same universe.
But, like in Spider-Man, he says, they ended the first two movies with the F word being said, but then it cuts to credits before they can finish saying it. In the third Spider-Man movie, because the third Spider-Man movie starts with that line, they have a car honk to bleep him saying it.
Sure.
Okay, so there's a car honk to bleep him saying it, and we go, ha 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 ha, we get it, you don't want to say the word. But then in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they just say it. It's like, then the car honk was just stupid.
But if I'm hearing a joke, I'm not gonna hear the joke, and as it's being told, go, this other joke makes this joke bad and nonsensical. Like,
well, I will. So, in Spider-Man, No Way Home, the three Spider-Mans meet each other, right? Tobey and Andrew and Tom, they all meet each other. And Tobey Maguire makes his own web fluid inside his body, right? He can just shoot webs from his wrist.
Yes.
And Tom Holland's like, does it come out of other places? As in, like, do you, like, shoot webs out of your butt?
Yeah.
Right, like, that's the joke. And then in Doctor Strange 2, which was, like, the next Marvel movie to come out, Doctor Strange is talking to America Chavez and is like, I helped Spider-Man. And she's like, Spider-Man? What's that? And they're like, he has spider powers. And she's like, does he shoot webs out of his butt? And it's like, it's the same joke. You just told me the same joke twice in a row. And you can't just say, oh, well, they're different movies. Because it's the same continuity, and they're literally referencing that movie right now.
Disagree. Yes, and, like, sure, everything's taking place in the universe, but they're also should be taken as standalone films.
Disagree.
They have to exist outside of each other unless the entire purpose of a movie is to not do that.
I think the entire purpose of the MCU is to not do that.
So you're telling me they made Iron Man and they were like, this is setting up Thanos?
The post-credit scene of Iron Man is Nick Fury saying, you've just joined a larger world. I need to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. So, yes. That's not
Thanos, though.
Oh, God. I think the first Avengers movie was always going to be Loki and the Chitauri. Oh my God. Not the Chitauri. Was going to be Loki and, like, this invasion of Earth and, like, turning the Hulk evil. Because that was the plot of the first Avengers comic book. Wow. Anyway, frustrates me. I don't like it.
I mean, sounds like you need to get good, in my opinion.
I think that James Gunn needs to get good and stop ruining my superhero movies.
But
also keep making the superhero movies I like. But
just do that.
Yeah.
Also, stop being bad and only be good. Gosh, why can't everyone do that?
So they kind of also did the whole thing in Star Wars. So they have, obviously, a bunch of alien languages. And so what they do is when they curse it in alien language. So, like, if you watch The Mandalorian and they want to curse, they say, dank ferret.
Okay.
So when they want to say, like, the F word or the S word or the D word, they just say, dank ferret. And then in Andor, they just say the S word.
I mean,
and I'm like, well, if the S word exists,
worlds.
It's literally the same continuity. These characters know each other.
World.
There's the same characters in both shows.
I can't believe it. Someone used different language from me. This is so unrealistic.
I think it is. I think if one character is going to say the S word and another character is going to say dank ferret, and you expect me to believe that these are like
if an adult stubs their toe and gets frustrated and goes, fuck me, you then expect the child to immediately after go and start going, fuck me, damn shit, piss. That's what I'm hearing.
If someone watches their best friend get melted with a flamethrower and they go, dank ferret, and then in another show, a guy is just kind of walking and he sees a cop, and so he has to, like, hide behind a tree so they don't see him, and he whispers the S word to himself. I think that having those be in the same continuity where you're supposed to watch one and then immediately watch the other is bad tonal shift.
Well, it sounds like a you problem, because that's the same level of intensity. Just because you think Dank Ferret is silly doesn't mean they aren't saying Dank Ferret seriously.
But I think it's inherently silly that they're saying Dank Ferret.
Well, that's a you problem then. Skill issue as you, the audience.
Skill issue on James Gunn.
No. If
Anyway.
you can't respect that Dank Ferret is said with the same ferocity as "oh fuck," then that's you're just not suspending your disbelief enough, or your belief. Disbelief. Yeah.
Yeah, so James Gunn has made some movies I really like, and I think he's a terrible at his job.
Except for all the ones that you like. So he's not terrible.
Well, okay, so this is kind of a good philosophical question, and I have a very strong answer. But this is something that you talk about when you're like at a managing. So like back when me and you worked at the movie theater.
Okay.
There's the question of what if someone is really, really good at their job. They can do the job with 3 men, but their presence negatively impacts everyone who works with them. They're difficult to work with. And the question is, how good does someone have to be to counterbalance the fact that they make the job harder and worse for everyone else there? For example, your boss, the kitchen manager, who was competent at his job and everyone hated him and complained about him and reported him to HR all the time, but he was technically like the best manager in the building on a technical level. At what point is that not worth it? And if you ask people who go to management school, they will say it's never worth it. It doesn't matter if he's the best in the world. If he's making the workplace uncomfortable, it's never worth it. Do you agree with that?
I mean, if you're getting HR complaints all the time, then yeah, they shouldn't stick around probably. But now I think the more interesting question is if we remove the HR complaints, right? Technically the best, and he's just kind of annoying, and people just generally don't like him.
I mean, people were making HR complaints because they don't like him. It's not like there was like sexual harassment going on. They were just
I'm just asking the clarifying questions for the audience.
Okay, yeah, but they were just like, this guy makes our lives terrible when we're working.
Shrug. I mean, I guess the part of the question would be like, how quickly can you get a new person? What's that going to take to train? And all these business questions.
The point is that just because someone's good at their job doesn't mean that they're good for the job.
Sure.
And so I will apply that to James Gunn. Just because he made 5 movies I like does not mean he's good at making movies.
But you like 5 of his movies. He's only made like 10.
Scooby-Doo, 1 masterpiece. Guardians 1 and 2 masterpieces. Guardians Holiday Special and Guardians 3 great movies. Hate James Gunn.
Well, I think you can hate him as a person.
No, it's not even hating him as a person. Now, okay, he does have, I do want to say this, he has a lot of controversies in his personal life. I am not even talking about those. Those are so not what I'm talking about.
I don't know. If you're like, I don't know. We can have nuanced opinions and stuff. That's fine. But to be like, wow, this man made a masterpiece movie. Anyway, he shouldn't be a director.
No, I think he should be reined in, and other people should tell him no.
Oh.
Well, Samuel L. Jackson begged Kevin Feige, let me say the F word in the MCU, and Kevin Feige said no. James Gunn says, let me say the F word in the MCU, and he says yes.
Well, it sounds like a Kevin Feige problem.
Grow some balls, tell him no.
Well, yeah.
Let him have his good ideas, and it's your job there to tell him, hey, don't do your bad ideas. But now that he's in charge of the DC universe, he is the guy. There is no one to tell him no. I have zero faith in that universe.
There's still editors and stuff. People can still tell him no. He just has to listen.
The heads of Warner Brothers can tell him no, but that's it. These are the same people who are allowing there to be a Harley Quinn fart comic, so... You heard about the Harley Quinn fart comic?
Yeah.
Yeah, so zero faith.
Shrug. I watched the thing he made. Good. I don't think it's bad enough to be like, all of his projects are doomed to fail. And I don't want him working.
Well, again, I have high hopes for Superman. I think it looks like a really good movie. I want to see it on IMAX. Could be cool. I just think that he's a terrible producer.
This went longer than I thought. I didn't know your feelings for this intense.
I had strong feelings for it. We didn't even touch on the fact that I hate that... I mean, I did mention it, but like, I hate that he's not doing origin stories. I think that itself is going to sink the universe.
Well, that's just to explain it a little, right? He made like a tweet, or there was an article or something where he's
multiple comments.
He's gonna make a Batman movie, but he's not gonna do an origin story for Batman, and he's gonna be using the fourth Robin, which is Batman's biological son, not Tim Drake, Damian Wayne. And
so Superman, the Superman movie is not going to be a Superman origin story. The Batman movie is not going to be a Batman origin story. We're starting with the fourth Robin.
Yeah.
0 out of 10 ideas. Cringe. Garbage, in fact.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, because the logic is, we all know Batman and Superman. We just did a whole universe about them. They're popular in pop culture. We all know the origin story. So he's not going to bother with it.
The last time that the Superman origin story was told on the big screen was 14 years ago. There are going to be people seeing this movie who weren't even alive when Man of Steel came out.
You're right, Devon. I wasn't alive when Star Wars came out. So when I saw the sequel trilogy, I thought, who's Luke? Why are they spending so much time on him? Why do they keep referencing this Darth Vader helmet? What is that? That's a
sequel. That's in continuity. If you're going to watch episode 7 and you haven't seen 1 through 6, that's on you. This is the start of a new universe. It's a new continuity. You shouldn't have to watch anything else to understand what's going on.
I'm trying to think here. Part of me wanted to say Pokemon, but it just keeps following Ash.
It's not a movie. I didn't watch Man of Steel. I've never seen the original Richard Donner Superman movie, so I've never seen Superman's origin on the big screen, and I'm almost 30 years old. How about you make your movie for like people who aren't nerds, James Gunn?
Well, maybe he is a nerd and he's trying to make a movie for himself.
Well, shut up.
That's not a very compelling argument.
I don't think he's very compelled me to believe in him.
Except he made a masterpiece movie, in your opinion. And you like 4 others. 2 masterpieces.
2.5 masterpieces.
2.5. It keeps growing.
I'm only slightly sarcastic about Scooby-Doo being a masterpiece, but the first 2 Guardians are.
What's the half? Oh, the Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
True. You should make Scooby-Doo a full masterpiece.
Okay. Do you think that Scooby-Doo is a masterpiece?
I don't use strong language, so I would never say anything is a masterpiece.
Anything? Then what is the point of the word masterpiece?
Exactly.
Masterpiece doesn't mean perfect. It means it's literally the work of a master.
No, it's the same logic as video game logic of I have this potion that'll instantly revive me or give me a plus 20 multiplier to my attack. This must be really important, so I'm going to use it for the final boss fight. And then the final boss fight comes and you're like, well, maybe there's a secret final boss fight, so then you never use it.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't call anything a masterpiece.
I guess. Would you call something an amateur piece?
I mean, I would say something was made by an amateur, sure. I wouldn't say an amateur piece. But yeah.
What about a journeyman piece?
A journeyman?
A journeyman, the step after like novice.
I mean, I didn't know that was a word, so no.
Have you never played like a video game? You go like, I'm a novice, I'm a journeyman.
Yeah, and then it goes intermediate.
Yeah, no. Okay. You wouldn't call One Piece a masterpiece?
No. I would say nothing is a masterpiece because I don't like using strong language. Because what if I'm wrong, actually, you know? And then no one can pin it on me. But then that's a whole other can of worms.
How many cans of worms do you have?
So many.
Do you use them to go fishing underneath the Anywen Bridge?
Sometimes. They usually catch, like, thought fish. Not that kind of thought.
With a GH.
Yeah.
What do the thought fish do?
I reel them in. They exist on my hook. They look at me with blank fish eyes, and then they disappear from the hook and, like, evaporate into the air and return to the water.
Do they leave you with deep thoughts right now?
Maybe. Sometimes.
Have they ever?
Sometimes they just want the water. Mm-hmm.
What kind of deep thoughts have they inspired you to think? These thought fish.
You ever think about how that
Did you forget? Did you forget?
No,
so that you could fall asleep?
no.
You sleepy right now, sleepy boy? Need your wee snaws, your snoot, your me's.
Hunk shoe.
Wee snaw. Okay, we have some emails.
Okay.
To get to. This is a good episode. Coherent, actually.
Coherent. No.
Cohesive.
No bad segues in any capacity. Totally
Definitely
understandable.
on topic. Okay, so
yes.
This is an email from Sophie.
Hi, Sophie.
All right. She says, do either of you have any idea what my voice sounds like? Now, this isn't a random message. This is in response to me saying that because of my synesthesia, there are some voices that, like, just piss me off. Like, this voice tastes bad. She says, do you have any idea what my voice sounds like? We know that you're British, and so you probably have a British accent, but no, I don't think we know what your voice sounds like.
No, I have not. I have no way of knowing. I could guess. Maybe you sound British, I would assume relatively young. I don't imagine a 60-year-old lady listening to us and writing in.
If you're a 60-year-old lady, write into the podcast at slapendipity@gmail.com.
Wow.
Wow.
Clean. Smooth.
Thank you. All right. Sophie also wants to wish the raccoons a Happy New Year. She says the raccoon summoned me to wish you guys a Happy New Year. Very cool. She asks if there's anything big or small that we're looking forward to this year.
I think the big ones we've kind of have been talking about a bit.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Besides Japan, because I think that's cheating. What else big are you looking forward to this year?
Gosh, what big things am I looking forward to this year?
Anything big? Maybe toward the end of the year, something big for you that might be coming up. You might not want to think about it, but like it's still a big thing, you know?
No, I mean, I guess I'm going to a wedding. That'll be fun.
Nothing else.
Nah, I wouldn't consider it big.
Turning 30?
Yeah.
Wouldn't consider it big? Okay, I guess. So we're just not going to do anything? We're not going to have a big birthday blowout?
No, I would wait. I mean, we can for the sake of a party, but not because it's 30. I have become of the opinion that you start living your life in your 30s. Now, I'm not 30, but...
that just gave me this, like, overwhelming sense of dread when you said that.
Why?
What do you mean I haven't started? I thought I was almost done. I thought I was off the ride.
No.
What do you mean
What are
this
you
is just the hill?
talking about?
Ah.
Listen, up to 18, you're just living your life, going through the school and the system, and you have to participate in the system unless tragic things happen, in which case that's tragic. Hopefully it gets better. And then you graduate into, like, the real world, quote unquote. And then it's like, do you go to college? Do you join the workforce? What do you do? So then your 20s, your early 20s is just figuring out what you do in your early life and how do you survive in the system and where do you go and what do you do. Then your mid 20s, I would say, is the realization that you either have chosen correctly or incorrectly. Then the late 20s is for correcting that if needed. And then you hit 30s and you're like, whoa, I get it. It all makes sense now. That's how I'm choosing to look at it, at least.
That's a positive way. What would you say to people who like had children at like age 23?
I was I don't. If they wanted children, cool, good job. I'd still say it's the same thing.
Okay, you don't think that they're living yet?
Oh, well, not that they're not living, but the like internal personal choices and decisions. Who are you and what do you want, type of thing. You could have a kid at 23 and be like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? What do I want?
I will give you 30 more seconds to finish the thought in regards to what you would say to someone who walked up to you and said, Eric, I understand that your life hasn't started at 29 because you're just a simple guy living under the Anywen Bridge. But sure. I was in the military and I traveled the world at age 18 and then I got married and I have children and they're almost 10 years old now and I'm the same age as you. Wow. And I'm, I am on the 30 under 30 list from whatever magazine does that.
What?
You ever heard the 30 under 30 list? They pick 30 people under the age of 30 and they're like, these people are going places. So like tech people or actors.
Sure. I mean, I would say you do you. I'm just always gonna laugh now, knowing that kind of bugs you.
What do you mean? I've never said anything like that. I might have some.
Well, no, that's just from. Yeah, no.
I might have some
just because I know
phrase
you.
I'll explain coming up in a few months.
Yeah. No, that's just because we've known each other so deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I shrug. If some random person came up to me and was like, hey, I did all this stuff at 18, why are you saying my life doesn't start till I'm 30? I would say, why do you care what I think?
Because you're a podcaster. Everyone should care what you think, Eric.
No, everyone can listen, and they can think about it, and then they can form their own opinions.
For example, we have an email asking us a political question that we're not going to answer because we're just podcasters and should have no say in how anybody thinks about complex topics like this.
Sure, yeah.
Now, that email does have a second question.
Wait a minute, what's your answer? What are you looking forward to the big year?
Besides Japan, what am I looking forward to?
Yeah.
Hopefully we just do something fun over the summer. We went to the beach in the summer of 2019, and we haven't been back since. And so I think that now that we're not working, or I'm not working at the movie theater, that's something we could do. And there's other things that like would theoretically go on my bingo card, but those are more like, I hope I hit 100,000 subs, as opposed to like, I am looking forward to hitting 100,000 subs, because I might not.
Sure. No, we should talk about your bingo card a little.
We could talk about it after we answer this question from Sophie.
Okay.
Okay. Are we shiny head bald or smooth stubble bald?
Shiny head bald or smooth stubble bald? Well, I don't...
Is your head shiny like King Neptune? Or like you shave your head totally and there's like, you got stubble like a 5 o'clock shadow on your head?
Both? It just depends on when I shave it.
So when you shave, is it shiny, but then like the next day it's like 5 o'clock shadow?
Yeah, basically. Not the next day. But yeah. Yeah, no, I have already gotten comments on like a photo happens or something and they're like, whoa, I can see the heaven from here, whoa! Or whatever.
You sounded like an NPC from Spyro just then.
You're welcome. So, yeah, no, people have commented on my shininess, but also if I'm not, like, if there's nothing big I'm gonna do, I'll just let what little hair I have around my head do its thing, and then I'll be like, I want to feel better, and so then I'll go shave it, because it is crazy how getting a haircut improves your mood. It's wild. What about you, Devon?
I just wear a hat. So my bald head is stubbly, but I wear a hat, so neither.
Cop out.
That is a cop out. Okay, let's talk about bingo.
Okay.
So, how about you summarize what this bingo thing is in the first place?
For anyone that didn't know or hear, instead of doing New Year's resolutions, you can do a New Year's bingo, where you come up with 24 ideas, because the 25th is the free centerpiece, and it's things that you would like to do in the new year. It can be anything as small as eating a freshly grilled hot dog, all the way to, like, I want to travel to a new country. It's whatever you want to do, so it can be as big or small. And so then I listed some of mine in the previous episodes, and now Devon has thought about it, and he has come up with some for his bingo card.
Yes, and I could use some help. Maybe you can help me.
Okay.
Get some new ones. So we're looking to get 24 of these, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I do want these to be things that might include the assistance of other people, which I know that you are not doing on your card. For example, one of mine is to hit 100,000 subs on YouTube, which is not something I can personally accomplish. It requires the will of other human beings to also do.
Yes, and this is why I do not advocate for those on your bingo card, because the point is for you to do the things.
All right, now 90% of mine are that, so that's cool. Okay, one of my other ones is YouTube collab. I've done some like live streams with people, but I don't consider that to be a full collab. I mean, like, I'm going to put out a video and it's like this video featuring this other YouTuber, right? Like, that's my plan. And I have a lot of people now who I'm like close with and like talk to a lot. So I think that one will happen. I just need to make it happen. Maybe publishing my bingo card will drive me to do that, you know?
Sure.
All right. I got to clean and keep clean and organized my whole house, but mainly my office and my bedroom. Because in my office, what I do is I just kind of shove things off to the side where you can't see them on camera. There's a television on the floor in my office. It has been there for a long time. I need to put that somewhere. So it's clean and organize my house.
Okay.
Me and you. It's your idea, and it's your concept, and you're technically the maker. You personally made a card game that we play. No. Don't pin
that on me. I just existed in the space and you guys looked at me and went, what if we made Cards Against Humanity, but we threw Eric's name in the title, and it's just a silly little inside game between friends that would not actually be viable as an actual product because it is nonsensical and 99% inside jokes.
So, Eric likes funny words, and so Eric invented something called the Erictionary, which is like terms and phrases that he uses. And so we play Cards Against Humanity, and we're like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we like had customized cards, which you can do. Like Cards Against Humanity comes with blank cards. And so what we started doing is we started filling them with inside jokes, and a lot of those were words and phrases from the Erictionary. And so we decided to just name our deck of customized cards for Eric, please, because it kind of has the same verbal flow as Cards Against Humanity. Cards Against Humanity. Cards for Eric, please. It kind of works. So he has nothing to do with the creation of the game and is very adamant about that, as you just heard.
Yes.
Anyway, we created this game with index cards, and so it's just handwriting on index cards. And so one of mine is I want to physically order and have made real cards for that game. So it's just a project I'm working on the side. I want to do that probably before your birthday.
No. No.
You wouldn't want to play that on your birthday? I'm not saying I would give it to you as a birthday present. I'm saying that on your birthday we would play it. We have another friend whose birthday's in July. Maybe we'll have it ready for his birthday. Okay. I want to clear my ongoing video game backlog. So this is games that I'm currently in the middle of playing. Not games I want to play. Games I'm actively in.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes up space in my brain to be like, I have to open the game and be like, what am I doing? What are the controls for this? What's going on? So that would be Xenoblade Chronicles X, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Pokemon Scarlet, A Link to the Past, Box Boy, A Boy and His Blob, and Watch Dogs 2 and Metroid Fusion.
So that's 7, 8 games?
Yeah, and I might be forgetting some. But those are the main ones that I can think of right now. So it's beat all of those.
Okay.
I'm doing a series of videos on my channel about the Five Nights at Freddy's novels, and so I want to finish that series before the end of the year. I'm doing one a week, so I should finish sometime in October.
Gosh, that's so many.
Yeah, there's 12 books and 4 stories per book, so it's whatever 12 times 4 is.
48.
Yeah, so 48, and I started late last year, so 52 weeks in a year, so yeah, it should be October, November. Yep. So finish that. I want to start seeing a therapist now that I have insurance, so I just got to do that.
Nice.
I have a succulent plant that I got for Christmas in 2019, and I want to keep it alive.
Okay.
I want to lose weight. I have a specific number, so I want to hit that number. I want to finish writing my book, and I want to get an agent or make a significant step in getting the book published.
Yeah.
So the first step in getting a book published is finding an agent. So like that's step 1, and so I would like to do that.
Well, isn't that
would be a big
step
goal.
2 because you still have edits?
Well, yeah, but there's been multiple times when I've quote unquote finished writing the book and looked for agents. I've applied to get agents multiple times in the past. So this is that's the step I actually want to accomplish. One of them just says enjoy Japan, which means not being stressed. If we're there and I'm getting stressed, having anxiety, I would like to simply say no. I am here to enjoy myself. I need to live in the moment. You know. So I need to enjoy it. And then continue speed dating until I get a girlfriend.
Wow.
Or, obviously, I don't mean that I will get a girlfriend from speed dating. I just mean that me and you will actively continue trying.
Yes.
And not just give up this calendar year.
Nice.
Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 that I have so far.
Okay.
That might only be 12. Anyway, I need 12 more.
Okay. Feel free to comment and leave ideas.
Well, what do you think? What do you think I should do, Eric?
I think you need a few freebies in there. one of mine is like eat soup dumplings, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't totally free. I have a restaurant in particular in mind that's like 2 hours away. So it would be a bit of a journey to do it, but like it's also so simple. So I think you need something like that, like I don't know, eat the largest slice of pizza you can find, or even just eat pizza, or like enjoy pizza without worrying about weight, just for one time, you know? I don't know, something like that. But you know, that's easier said than done. We have different feelings on eating and weight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like a few small things, like, I don't know, assembling a Lego that you've wanted to assemble, or like, I don't know, I don't know, what's something you enjoy, what's something you would want to do small scale?
Defeat the big monkey man and save the ninth dimension.
Think smaller.
Defeat the little monkey man and save the eighth dimension.
It's better. What if it was...
You're supposed to say the smallest you can think of. This is a bit from SpongeBob that we're quoting
It
here.
is.
Something smaller? I don't know. I'm looking around my room. I don't do anything.
Well, maybe that could be a thing. Maybe try a new hobby. Like, I have take a boxing class on mine. I have no idea if I'm gonna like that, but ever since I was little, I was like, what if I was a boxer? So I'm just gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna take a class, see how it goes. Maybe it's just another form of exercise. Maybe I drop it immediately. I don't know. But I just want to try it out.
I think anything I do, like, I don't know, like my hobbies are like, oh, I'll go to the movies and see a movie. So like it almost feels like that's not accomplishing something because I already do it.
You could make it something a bit like small and big. So I think I talked about this last episode. My brother has go see a movie at the theater for 3 of his boxes because he doesn't see movies in theaters and he wants it to be a more regular thing he does. So maybe your version of that is like, see 20 movies this year.
Okay.
And then that's like, you know, you see movies, but like, do you see 20 in a year? Shrug.
Okay, so see 20 movies in the theater.
Or you could do like you know, maybe you want to deepen how you watch movies. So maybe instead of just watching 20 movies, going for a quantity approach, maybe you go for a quality approach where like you go see a movie and like you write up a small essay for yourself about it and like really digest it.
Whenever I watch a movie, I review it on Letterboxd.
Oh.
So like that's a thing.
Okay, I do you enjoy that?
Yeah. Do you have any interest in going to PAX West?
I don't know. I only vaguely know what that is. Isn't that like a Comic-Con in Los Angeles?
Video game convention this year. So PAX East, which we ideally would go to, will be in Japan in Boston. That would be cool. Maybe next year if it's also in Boston. PAX West is in Seattle.
Ooh.
So it'd be going to Seattle for a convention in August, late August into early September. It's like the 29th to the 2nd or something.
I might be busy that time.
30th to the 2nd. What are you doing on August 30th at 10
Don't worry about it.
What are you doing on August 30th at 10 a.m.?
Don't worry about it.
I don't believe
I got
this.
Family things. Family.
Suspicious.
I would have to double check the dates. I shrug.
Okay, I'm gonna write convention because I did want to go to maybe New York Comic-Con. You know.
Yeah, that's on mine.
Yeah, no, this does not include the Star Wars convention that we already are going to.
Well, no, why would it?
I don't know.
They're different things. They can exist outside of each other, just like universe movies.
You know what one of these is going to be?
No.
Finish the bingo card.
That's your free space.
I disagree.
Oh.
Alright, that's all I have. Do you have anything else to round out this episode of Slapendipity, Hobos of Happy Slappy Town?
Remember, if you're fishing with your own can of worms, the thought fish you catch are just going to be your own thoughts.
Remember, inspiration can come from anywhere. That's it. Bye.
Bye, everybody.